So in this part of the question, they give you information about the distance covered and then the velocities, okay, the starting and the final velocities. And we're asked to find the least possible time t. So when they refer to the least or the greatest, it's to do with boundary values, isn't it? So you can see here, I've written out scales, okay, based on what information is given here. So for instance here with the distance, it's measured to the nearest 5 meters, isn't it? Okay, so that's why on my scale I'm going up in 5s. Okay, so in terms of the greatest and least, well, the greatest it can be is here, isn't it? Okay, so halfway between 195 and 200, so that'll be 197.5. Okay, and the least it can be is here. Okay, 192.5, halfway between the scale that's given. Okay, so that's the lowest it can be, so that it rounds up to 195. Same then for the starting velocity. Okay, now the starting velocity is measured to the correct to the nearest meters per second. So basically, we're going up in ones on our scale. Okay, so I've gone up in ones. So if it's rounded to 5, the lowest it can be is 4.5. The greatest it can be is 5.5. And then with the final velocity, same thing again. So the lowest it can be is 13.5, the most is 14.5. Now to get the least time using this formula, because we're dividing, remember to get the least, on the top you need the least, and on the bottom you need the greatest. Okay, so when I now plug in values to this formula, okay, for t, I need the least on the top, yeah? So it says 2s. So if we look at the distance here, because s represents the distance, well, I want the least distance, so I'm going to choose that one there, yeah? Okay, 192.5, I want the least on the top, so I'm going to choose the least distance there. But I've got to have 2 of them, so I've got to make sure I put 2 in brackets there. Okay, 2 times it, basically. Divide by then, well, on the bottom I want the greatest, so I've got 2 things to add here, but I've got to choose the greatest ones, 5.5, 14.5. Okay. So then, I've got to times that by 2, okay, to 192.5. Now, you know, there's lots of ways you can do it. You might just want to just keep it simple and just add 2 lots of 192.5, whichever way you want to do it, as long as you get it right. Add them, 5 and 5 is 10, so 0, carry 1. 2 and 2 is 4, plus the 1 is 5. 9 and 9 is 18, so 18, carry 1. And you've got 3 here. So it's 385 on the top. When you add the ones on the bottom, it's quite simple actually, because it comes to 20. So all I've got to do now is work out 385 divided by 20. And remember, when you divide by 20, the quickest way is just to divide by 10 and then to divide by 2. Okay, so we could divide by 10 to start with. So you get 38.5. And then divide that by 2 then. So divided by 10 to get that, divide that result then by 2. So halve that, well, you get 19.25. Okay, so the answer I'm looking for is 19.25 seconds.